afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
Taking your afternoon break to join our wonderful chef who has made an appearance before and decided she loved it so much she came back. And I just told her before we started, I may be knocking on her door for another one. I'm like, I love it. I love it.
So hi, everybody. Just was cleaning my whisk. Thanks for joining us. During our last video, I mentioned red chili mac and cheese. And there were several people who said, oh, red chili mac and cheese. And I did the usual, well, yeah, of course. So I'm going to show you how to make red chili mac and cheese today. I have on the stove a pot of water that I'm going to turn up so it'll boil. It's a turbo burner, so it should go pretty quickly. And as you know, when you cook your pasta, you want to have the water pretty salty. I'm going to put that much salt, which is about a tablespoon.
Why do we want it salty?
Because the pasta itself doesn't have, other than the yummy starchy goodness, doesn't have a lot of flavor. So by salting the water, you're already layering the flavor into your pasta.
Ooh.
And if you're salt sensitive, of course, you can add less. We're going to drain the water, so it's not like we're adding extra salt to the sauce. So we're going to let that come to a boil, and then we're going to cook our pasta, which will only take about 6 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about mac and cheese.
I love mac and cheese.
I love mac and cheese. Body by mac.
Yes.
So in our family growing up, mac and cheese was a regular food. It was also a holiday food. So when I would go to other people's houses around the holidays, you know, here you have your wonderful pozole, which because of my issue with corn, I can't have anymore. So the silence. But they wouldn't have mac and cheese. They'd have potatoes, maybe a couple different kinds of potatoes, but no mac and cheese. Whereas our house, we have mac and cheese at almost every holiday gathering. Now, Mom made mac and cheese when I was a kid, and she makes hers differently than myself. She actually makes hers the way if you ever get a hold of Pearl Bailey had a cookbook, and she describes how she makes her mac and cheese, which is how my mom made hers, which is you cook your pasta, you have some milk that you've heated up, you've drained your pasta, chunks of cheese, warm milk with some salt and pepper, you stir that in together. If you want to put cheese on top, you can. Mom used American sliced cheese on top. It was fancy. And yes, American cheese is a cheese.
Sure.
But if you do use American, you want to use an American cheese where milk is the first ingredient, not oil.
Ooh.
That's my personal preference. So anyway, she would put that on top, and then when it came out, it would be nice and bubbly. And you baked it in the oven after you put everything together. So when you stir the mac and cheese, it becomes a cheese sauce. So when Pearl Bailey would do hers, she would actually stir it while it was cooking. So it was making a cheese sauce because the lumps of cheese that she had in there were melting in. Not a bad way to go. There's very few mac and cheeses that are not good. There are some, but most mac and cheese is good. Well, Charina, all I use is the box mac. That's okay. If that's what you want to do, you can do the box mac. I was a college student at one point, and I confess that I used box mac and cheese. I could afford it.
Shame.
There was ramen, and then there was mac and cheese boxes. So if you caught the sale, because I was already looking at sales, you could get 4 boxes of mac and cheese for $1 sometimes. That's how old I am. So, or 2 for $1, we'll say. I'll make myself a little younger. But then you could dress it up. And that's what I love about mac and cheese is you can make it your own. So even though I'm showing you how to make the red chili mac and cheese today, you can use your own recipes. If you like crumbs on top of yours, go ahead, put some buttery crumb goodness on top. If you like to do just sharp cheddar on top, you can do that as well. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. I do not put eggs in my mac and cheese. do, but then it becomes more of a souffle kind of thing. Again, not a bad product. It's just not what I'm used to or what I prefer. So our water is almost boiling. And I'm making a small batch today, and I had to come home from work and make a batch because it's hard for me to remember how to make a smaller batch. Because the half sheet pans is what I usually use for Kwanzaa. And I usually make 6 to 8 of these.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a lot of cheese.
Oh my gosh.
So I have extra cheese grated because I have a feeling I'm going to be making some more mac and cheese a little later.
Yes.
So this was 4 pounds of grated mac and cheese. We're going to use a pound. Yes, we're going to use a whole pound.
I love it already.
It should be cheesy. I mean, cheese is in the title. So our water is almost boiling, as I said. So that's how Mom made her mac and cheese. Well, I make mine using a bechamel sauce, which is a classic white sauce. It's 1 part fat, 1 part flour, and then your milk you add in. We're going to actually make a special bechamel for this. We're going to make a chili roux.
Ooh.
So when we make the chili roux, it's going to look, you'll see the roux in a little bit. It's going to look loose, and that's okay because we're going to cook the chili and we're going to bloom the spices as well. So it gets incorporated well into the cheese sauce. And then a little later, I'll tell you a cheat method of how to do it, but I'm going to show you the long way first.
I like it. I like it a lot. I actually love to add broccoli, chicken, all that good stuff to my mac and cheese. So
you can. And
I'm thinking about the red chili mixed with it. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And one of the reasons I make this is, well, I like red chili. I love mac and cheese. So it was a marriage in heaven. And as I mentioned before, soul food cooking is a combination. We like to take whatever's around us and incorporate it into our cooking. So that was part of this as well. Now, some of you probably make green chili mac and cheese. You stir in the diced green chili. Mm-hmm. That's tasty too. But in my house, you're only going to see the plain and the red. That's how we roll. So boiling.
Like, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Once again, we have the very talented Lisa doing our camera for us today.
Thank you, Lisa.
Remember to look at this one.
Oh, look at that one. Yes, I'm sorry. She told me to look at that one. I'm so used to looking at this one during meetings. Sorry about that. For those of you who see me in the office now, I'm usually looking at my monitor, so I'm off to the side like I'm contemplating. This is a 24-ounce bag of elbow macaroni. I prefer the smaller ones because I like the sauce to get in there, incorporate, and when it's done, you get like the brick o mac when you cut it.
Ooh.
I'm going to put the whole amount in this pot. We're going to add it slowly in hopes that we don't scald ourselves today.
Is that butter over there?
Yes.
I love butter too.
Yes. So are you looking at the plate or right in front of me? Here or here?
Over. Yes, there. Mm-hmm.
That is cheese.
Oh, that's more cheese.
That's more cheese. And cheese. This is a stick of butter.
Oh my gosh. All the goodness. All the goodness.
All the good things. So we're gonna, are you okay, Lisa? So we're gonna stir this so it doesn't stick together. And this is gonna take about 6 minutes to cook. So during that time, we're gonna talk more mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
You add broccoli and chicken to yours?
I do. I love broccoli and chicken, or just, some kind of protein with it. And then of course, broccoli is always yummy.
Yes, that's a good way to go. I know that one of our local restaurants does the broccoli, and I think you can add chicken as well. There was a restaurant in town that would add salmon if you want it. They would grill salmon and add it to your mac.
Ooh.
Which is not bad either.
That sounds delicious.
And I'm just stirring this so it doesn't stick together, and then I'm gonna let it go. So this is gonna cook for 6 minutes. We want it al dente. We don't want it mushy because it's gonna bake in the oven for a bit. And that's when macaroni and cheese can cross over to the bad side when it gets too soft, because you want it to hold up when you dip your fork into it. Let's see. So we're doing that. You can freeze this. You can make a large batch and you can freeze it ahead of time. If you are gluten sensitive, you can use, there's red lentil pasta you can use. Bonza makes a chickpea, which has more protein, which is really nice. You can use that. And when you make your roux, instead of having regular flour, turn this down a little bit. Instead of having regular flour, you can use brown rice flour. Your roux isn't going to be as smooth, but it'll work. And if you're someone who's gluten sensitive, you're going to love it anyway. That's something else you can do. You can use that if you want.
We've got some excitement in the chat, Charina. We've got people salivating.
Really?
They are ready.
Well, I don't know. Could maybe be broad. No, I'm just kidding. I imagine people might get a chance to taste some of this. So we're just going to let that cook. Try to keep that from boiling over.
I feel like Elf, you know how all his food groups is like sugar, candy cane, all that good stuff. I'm like, you've got butter, you've got cheese, you've got carbs. That is my food group.
Yes.
That is all my food group right there.
Yeah, it's my food group too.
I love it.
And some people, will say, well, mac and cheese isn't good for you. This isn't an everyday thing. I'm not eating it every day.
We don't need that kind of negativity in our life, Charnia.
No,
we just don't.
This
okay.
Is about wellness.
We don't need that negativity in our life.
No. And happiness is part of wellness also.
Right.
That's just a couple more minutes. So here we have the shredded cheese. For mine, I use mild cheddar. Now, if you like a sharper cheddar, that will work. I don't use a sharp cheddar in my mac just because maybe it's a childhood thing. I like that smooth, creamy, no barrier to enjoyment.
Got it.
I had as a child. So I like the mild cheddar, but you can use sharp if you want to use sharp. If you want to do a blend of cheeses, you can. I tend to do just cheddar. I've seen people use brie. I've seen people use people adding in some fontina, get that nutty taste.
Wow.
Also add a little of Jack if you want to do that. Do a Colby Jack mix. Whatever you like. True confession time. You know those quick cooking pasta packages that you can get for too much money? I buy those. It's 60 seconds. You can pre-cook your own pasta and do it. But the other day I was hungry, so I cooked one of those 60 seconds. I took some heavy cream, some shredded sharp cheese, and some bacon bits and stirred that all together. Instant mac. It's not the same, but it was an okay meal.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like heaven. That just sounds so like goodness. All goodness.
4 minutes to make. So if you're in a hurry and you want to use a convenience pasta, you can. There's no shame. You're still cooking.
You're still cooking. Okay, I take back my shame for your, college mac and cheese. I take it back.
Yeah. No, even when I made the college mac, I would add extra butter.
Oh, okay. Okay. You spiced it up a little. Okay.
Yeah. I
don't know.
Yeah.
Something about that powdered cheese just does not sit well.
No, and it's a color that doesn't occur in nature either.
Right. Okay. All right.
So do we have any questions in the chat at all?
We don't have any questions yet. We do have a thank you for the gluten sensitive tips. You should do a fast and budget friendly cooking series for our students. Oh, you should do, sorry. Yes, you should do a fast and budget friendly cooking series for our students.
That can be done.
That would be great.
Many a night when I go home, if I'm working late, I might be tempted to pick something up on the way home because I'm tired.
Yeah.
The days that I don't, and I just make something, I'm reminded how quick it is to cook sometimes. Again, if you're not opposed to using a convenience food or you've done some batch cooking on the weekend, so you have things ready to go. My mom likes this pineapple curry that I make.
Ooh.
It's again, it's a really fast one, and you can even use canned chicken. If you don't want to pick the rotisserie or you don't have it already cooked yourself.
If you don't have,
You can, there's a number of ways you can do that.
I don't know. I might have Patrick bleep that out in the recording.
And I said canned chicken.
It's like,
Canned chicken breast. Yeah. it has-
okay, okay.
Yes. It's not like that. It's not like Chopped where they had that chicken in a can that was really scary.
Right. That's what I'm like. I'm so
No.
scared that you just.
No, it's just chicken breast. Just cooked chicken breast.
That's great. That's so great.
Okay, our pasta's there.
All right. So al dente still has like a little bit of the darker part of the pasta, right? It's not that completely clear looking.
It's the texture, so it's al dente is to the teeth, so it has a bite to it. When you
Okay.
chew, it's not. It has some resistance when you chew.
Okay.
So I'm going to take my mismatched oven mitts and drain this. And we're not going to rinse our pasta.
Resistance is futile. I love that sign. That's great. So we have someone who would love for you to put the mac and cheese in the office pantry. Do you have an office pantry?
Yes, I do.
I
have a. We have a snack cabinet in our department.
Nice.
Okay, I'm using the same pot because, when you just came home, you don't have a lot of pots if you don't have to. And over a lower heat, we're going to melt a whole stick of butter.
Yep. I love it.
We don't want this to brown. So I may move it off and just let it do its thing. I'm sorry? Okay. So while that's melting, I have already pre-measured. And here is a half a cup of flour. So the stick of butter is a half a cup, right?
Okay.
So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And to this, I've added also approximately a half a cup of chili powder, somewhere between a third and a half. That's going to be to your preference as far as how hot you want your chili. I eat my red a little hotter, but at the same time, when you make your mac and cheese, you don't want it so hot that people who aren't big chili fans can't eat it.
Gotcha.
I have in here a teaspoon of garlic powder or granulated garlic, and I have a teaspoon of cumin. Our butter is almost melted. Turn the heat down. So we're going to stir all this in. And the reason we're combining it this way, again, I told you I was going to tell you the way later. This roux is going to be fairly loose.
Okay.
And if you were here, you could smell the spices cooking. Smell the chili blooming.
God, I'm not. I need some mac and cheese.
And we need our smell-o-vision.
Mm-hmm.
So see how that's nice and pasty?
Yes.
We're not making gumbo, so we don't have to worry about the flour getting brown. We're just cooking it off a little bit, coating the butter and the flour all together, incorporating them. That looks pretty good. It goes fast. So this is chili roux. And to this, we're going to add a quart of milk, so half of a half. We're going to do this slowly because it tends to bubble. I'm just incorporating this together, and you'll see that the chili is mixing in.
And you said a whole quart of milk?
Yeah, half of a half a gallon
Got it.
for this amount. So that was about a half. Now I said about because you know me. And we're going to let this thicken so that we've essentially made a chili bechamel. Now, what can you do with this besides any application where you would use a white sauce? If you wanted to use a chili sauce, you could. So let's say you were making, oh, I don't know, grilled flank steak, bechamel sauce on there for some reason. You could do a chili bechamel on there. You could put it on top of a piece of grilled fish. You can use it on chicken, of course. And we're just going to cook this till it starts to thicken a little bit. So we're going to feel a little bit of resistance as we're whisking it. That smells so good.
Just rub it in, why don't you? Just
Smells so
rub
good.
it in. Someone asked, that is a lactose-free milk, correct? Just taking notes.
Yes, it was. Because some of us have issues digesting a lot of milk. So this is one area where you can cut it down. And cheese itself is a little more digestible if you're lactose sensitive.
Oh, okay.
Used lactose-free milk in my sauce. Now, if you can't do dairy at all, I'm sorry. You could use a soy
Just
cheese.
don't even, just log off now. You need to say goodbye, Felicia.
Yeah, so, you probably get that a lot.
You're done. You don't,
Yeah, you know, I'm sorry. But there are adjustments you can make. The main concession or the main change I make is I do a gluten-free mac and cheese for Kwanzaa for my friends who can't eat gluten. So, and they appreciate that because, you know, you can't always go out and buy mac and cheese. So this is starting to thicken. So we see a little bit of resistance. I want it to go a little bit longer. Now I have this on a fairly low heat. And the reason I did that is, have you ever made a cheese sauce or milk sauce and it curdles?
Mine, well, it didn't curdle. It just wasn't as smooth.
So it was starting to get gritty kind of?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I've had that happen, and it's really sad thing to happen when you have 16 quarts of sauce at the time and you don't have any more milk.
Oh, shoot.
There's a couple things you can do to bring your sauce back together. It won't come completely back together, but to make it where it's not as gritty for your guests, you can add a little bit of lemon juice.
Oh.
That'll help stop the reaction and it'll come back together. Or you can use like an immersion blender and
Oh, okay.
it up that way. So
Or I
don't do
just don't
that.
make it. Or I'm not the one that makes it. Maybe somebody else needs to make it. I just made I mean, that could be an option, right?
So those are a couple tricks. So you want to do this over a lower heat because if your heat's too high, it'll cause it to do that. You want to take your milk out ahead of time and have it not ice cold when you put it in. That's another reason that can happen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I've got a little more resistance. So we're going to put a pound of cheese in here. We're not going to do it all at once.
Ooh, I'm excited.
We're going to do a handful at a time, stirring it in.
I love white, sharp cheddar.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great.
That is definitely one of my favorite. I've never heard people use brie before. Brie's already a soft cheese. So
yeah. I saw a chef doing that, and the reason they did it was their mother was a caterer, so she would have leftover bits from a cheese board.
Oh.
Just adding whatever cheese was available. So I added that first handful.
Oh, wow. Yep.
You can see the cheese starting to melt. Now, if my milk was cold, this would not have gone this quickly. So we're going to do another handful of cheese. I have big hands.
I love it.
We're just going to sprinkle that in. So we don't want to dump it all at once. We want to do a little bit at a time. And much like when you're making a cake, you add an egg one at a time usually. Same principle here. You want it to be fully incorporated. If you can see this, I don't know if you can see the side of the pan. You can see how the cheese, the ribbon is just coming and it's melting down in there.
Yeah.
The resistance also when you're stirring it. We're approaching custard phase. Now, some people would stop with this much cheese and it would be a fine product.
I'm not that person.
I'm not that person either.
I am not that person.
Test out this connection.
Get situated.
Yeah.
So we're adding another handful of cheese. We're getting close on the thickness. Anyone ever made like pudding from scratch? Or like anyone saying yes?
No, I don't think.
No. Just now.
Come on, no.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That looks
that's really,
fabulous.
That's really cheesy. You could stop here and that'd be plenty of cheese.
But it's not. It's so not.
I'm just gonna do a little bit more. What I also like to do, and I don't have any bread handy, but sometimes I'll take a piece of bread and I'll pour some cheese sauce out or just dip the bread in there to see how it's, obviously this isn't the gluten-free version when I do that.
Oh my gosh.
And just taste it to see how it tastes on the bread. Okay, this is good. This is really thick.
I'm just going to come over with a baguette.
do
Just dip. Just leave me a pot of sauce. Just leave
Yeah,
me.
so if you've ever made Welsh Rarebit with a cheese sauce, you could add chili to it and make a Southwest cheese sauce.
Oh, that would be delicious.
A little paprika on top, that wouldn't be bad. So that's good. That's good right there.
Totally, Sonia. She said that would be dangerous. There might not be any mac and cheese. I concur.
That's why you make extra sauce.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Now you could put the macaroni directly in the pot and stir it in there if you'd like. Oftentimes when I'm making this, as I said, I'm making 6 or 8 trays of it at a time. So what I've started doing is putting my noodles in the sheet trays or the pan and then just stir it in there.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're going to do today. I'll turn the heat off that. And I'll get our mac from back here. It's drained. When you put it in the pan, you're going to break it up. Because I didn't rinse it or anything like that. That's hot. Don't try this at home.
Safety tip, warning.
Yeah, warning. Warning, Will Robinson.
Warning. Do not.
Some of us have put our hands in hot things for years, so it's not as big a deal. I'm just going to sit on top here so you can see it. So I'm just going to break that up. And I could have done this when I first drained it, but I chose not to.
All right.
So that's a lot of pasta. The last one I didn't have quite as much pasta in mine. Okay. I'm running out of space here. Here we go. We'll set this cheese aside. So if I don't make more mac, I can always put that in the fridge or freeze it. A little warm. Okay. So you're gonna take that lovely cheese sauce and we're gonna put it all in this pan. It's doing that bubbling sound when it's getting incorporated in there.
Just so delicious.
We're gonna get the child cheater, AKA the spatula. You know why I call it the child cheater?
What is it? I can't see it. All I'm seeing is cheesy goodness.
Oh, I'm just using a rubber spatula to stir it in.
Oh, okay. I just
And I also used to call it a child cheater because it was an honor to be able to lick the beaters or the spatula to make my cake. This is back before we worried about salmonella. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
So we're just gonna fold this in. And again, you could down this in the pot if that's easier for you, do that. And it looks like there's extra cheese, but that's okay. Because as we fold it, you'll hear a bubbling sound when you're making it at home. And I think I'm gonna share the recipe out. If you want, Felicia, I can type it up.
Could you please?
I can do that.
We've got a yes, please. Lots of yeses.
So we just want to fold it until all of the noodles are coated. And it's had a chance to go down into the little crannies.
So I noticed you didn't put any pepper. I love black pepper in my mac and cheese.
You could have certainly put pepper, but I had quite a bit of red in there.
Okay.
And sometimes I do have some black pepper in there. But usually when I'm doing that, I'm making 2 kinds of mac at once.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, you certainly could put black pepper in there.
Yeah, I guess with the red chili spice, you don't need it as much.
You don't have to have it in this one, but yeah, my regular mac I do.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we see that. Now you could eat it at this stage if you wanted to.
I'm like, yes. Again, where's my baguette? I need my baguette.
You know, just to see if it's okay.
Oh yes, yes. Just a taste.
You have to taste it, and that's the cook privilege also. Okay, so that's a really full. I'm going to clean up the edge of that pan because I don't want that to scorch. Now this is where it would be nice if I had a piece of bread because I could just sop this with bread, but we don't want our pan to smoke when it gets in the oven. Okay, so we're not done.
Like, oh right.
I like, now this is just me, you don't have to do this pattern. I like to take the slices of good American cheese, so that means what is the first ingredient? Milk.
Yes.
And I like to create a chevron pattern on top of my mac and cheese.
Oh.
I don't know why I do a chevron. I kind of think I know I do a chevron. My father was a master sergeant, so he would have stripes, the chevron stripes on his sleeve. I think that may have influenced me. You could do it straight across. I like to cut the cheese up because that way, you know, it's like your extra bonus.
Yes.
And then sometimes if I have extra slices left, I'll do a little spine. So then it looks more like a rib cage.
So which brand is this that you're using?
I use the Deluxe Kraft American cheese.
Deluxe Craft. Okay. And that one has the milk.
It has milk, and it does not have, it's not wrapped in individual.
Oh, it's the one that comes in the, okay. Gotcha.
You're going to pay a little bit more, but it melts better. And also you can get good American cheese from a deli and have it for you. And that'll be real American cheese also.
Mm.
So we're going to put this in the oven and we're going to bake it at 350 just until sorry about that. Just until the cheese melts.
Not the mac and cheese, anything. Oh, you weren't holding it yet. Okay.
No, that would have been a louder exclamation than that.
That would have just been so sad.
We bake it for about 30 minutes, more or less. This one's a little browner than I like to do normally. By the magic of so when it's done,
wow.
You can see what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Would you like some too, Lisa?
Yes, please.
I was gonna say.
I had to swallow my drool first.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay. I'll give a spoon for you to have.
Yummy.
There you have red chili mac and cheese.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going to check it. See if it's
Oh,
okay.
yes, please. Woohoo, bravo. Yes, uh-huh, yep.
Yeah, that'll do. So, red chili mac and cheese.
Oh my gosh, love it.
A little bit of heat, a little bit of chili.
Oh,
You know it's good if you're
Over
coughing.
here.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, spicy.
So, now let me tell you the cheater way.
Ooh. All right, can you add the cheater way to your typed up original, please?
I suppose.
Oh, right.
If you're making regular mac and cheese, and then in that case, I would have some freshly ground pepper in there as well. What I do is I make a double batch of the sauce. And then it's a bigger pot, obviously, you know, my 2-quart pots that I love. I make a double batch of the sauce. I cook the mac and cheese ahead. And then I take half the mac and cheese, half the macaroni noodles, stir it in, and then I scoop it, or I put it in here. That's when it's easier to do this. Ladle the sauce on there till it's nice and cheesy. Do your chevron stripe with your American if you're doing that. If you want to do your crumb topping, that's okay too. A little melted butter, some panko.
Yes.
A little salt in there as well. Then I take red chili powder, dump it directly into my sauce. I add my cumin and my garlic powder, stir that in together. Now, when you do that, it won't be as evenly incorporated. It'll actually have flecks, and you'll think, this isn't going to turn out. Most people won't know the difference. True story.
So can you use like, okay, I have to admit, Cervantes has a delicious red chili, right? Their sauce. Could you add a liquid red chili, or do you prefer the dry?
I prefer the dry for this application.
Okay.
You can. You're just going to add a little bit. You have to be careful because it's going to make your sauce a little looser, and it might affect your blend of your sauce, the quality of your sauce. But there was this restaurant in town that is now closed, unfortunately, but Sweet Tomatoes.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I know, I miss it still. And what I liked about Sweet Tomatoes is that you could cook while you ate. So they used to have red chili, just the plain red chili sauce, just the, like you said, like Cervantes maybe. They used to have it on their hot potato bar. I would go and I would get a soup bowl of the mac and cheese. I would ladle in some of their just straight red chili. And then I would, sometimes I would smuggle in my own cumin.
Oh my gosh, you smuggle in, and see, I would smuggle out. I would put stuff in napkins because when I was little, that's what my grandmama did.
Yes. So I would smuggle, sometimes I would smuggle in my own garlic and my own cumin.
Oh my God, I'm going with you.
It was still good. It wasn't the same consistency, but it was that red chili that I love. So when they would come and clear our place, they'd look at my bowl like, what did you have?
What'd you do? Oh
I'm
my
sorry?
gosh.
Don't forget the bacon.
Oh yeah, we would add bacon sometimes too. Add bacon. And then when they quit carrying the red, I would just add bacon and green chili. So do that. We used to be able to do that when we had buffets. I miss buffets.
No, I know. When they closed, my heart broke. That was like my kids and I's favorite place to go whenever we were like, where do we want to eat? And Sweet Tomatoes, that was our place. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, we get good food there. It was made from scratch. So It was good.
I love it.
Questions. That's it. That's red chili mac and cheese. It's pretty easy.
Oh my gosh. And that was so quick too. It doesn't like, that's one thing I find trying to, do dinner for my kids and everybody's hungry and it's like, can we have food now? And of course my kids, they cut off chunks of cheese when I'm cooking stuff.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you so much for doing this again. I really appreciate you coming back and sharing this recipe. I will be sending out an email with the recipe and your quick tip. So whenever I get that, everybody who joined us will get that as well. I know we don't have any questions. We got lots of thank yous and yes and great. And this is amazing. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
Now you know the secret. You'll start making it and people say, you can make red chili mac and cheese.
I know. I see, and it's so crazy is I would have never thought about that until you said it because I've been used to the green chili, right? And the chicken and stuff. So I love this take.
I'm glad you like it. And thanks for joining me today.
Yes.
Again, in another cooking demo, we'll talk about something else. But
wonderful. Then I'll be knocking on your door again then. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa, in the background. I appreciate you being camera crew. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And then we have our next cooking demo coming up at 4.
yes.
Bye.
Bye.